Okay, part 2. We had our web server installed on Windows last week. So it's Linux turn, as always. So it's going to be just about as simple as the Windows side was, at least getting things installed and a bit of that configured. The file moving is where it will most likely get a little weird. But I'll show you how to do that as well. So just start out with SSHing into your Ubuntu VM from Linux Mint. Remember, you guys use your host name. I'll use an IP address. That key should still already be in your machine, so you shouldn't have to provide your password, but get in it and then run this command. Sudo apt install Apache 2. This is the equivalent of hitting out the add roles, IIS, and then next. This is pretty much the same thing. So get that in. Provide your password. It's going to install a few different things. You can see it's going to install Apache 2 and then these additional packages. So just so you know, and then let that get installed. Once that's done, you're going to have a var www.html directory. So where you were able to open up the IIS GUI and click on, whatever the folder thing was. To get that folder to open, it was the inet pub www directory. That's where this is going to be. So this is going to be the equivalent of that. So you can head in there and take a look. What you want to do is the index.html and CSS files, you want to move them in here. Well, you can't drag and drop. So that is where it's going to be a bit of a problem. You can do this one of a couple of different ways, actually. Yeah, and then once you get the files in there, take a screenshot. Okay, yeah. So you can do this one of a couple of ways. You can use SFTP, which honestly can be the easiest way because you already have keys installed and everything. So let me create a file. Test file. Oops. Touch. So now I've got this file, testfile.html, and I want to push it to the server. So you can do this, the whole web practice.zip. You can log into Moodle in your Linux Mint VM and then just download it. Or if you have the two files already or the web practice already on your desktop or something like that, you can do that there too. But what you're going to want to do is SFTP and then 200.22. Yeah, I think so. Log into the server. That key is still going to work. SFTP just lives on top of SSH, so it's not really anything special. And you'll want to type, you don't necessarily have to do this. I just want to show you how this works. So when you SFTP into another machine, you can take files. So in my case, I can take files from Mint and push them into the machine I've SFTP'd into. So this is Ubuntu server here. And the way you would do that is just put testfile.html. And it says uploading test file to Homeleo test file. So if I exit this, so remember this is my Ubuntu server. Let me just go back to my home folder real quick. There. That's the file I just pushed. So let me see. Oops. So let's say we want to do that again with a different file. Well, actually, I can just, there it is. Put test file dot .css. Same thing. And you can do both files one after the other. Or if they're zipped, you can do that. And then once you're on this end, so still Ubuntu server, or Ubuntu server on this one. There's your CSS. And then you can move them. Sudo move test file.css, test file.html into var www.html. Then if we go there, take a look, they're all there. Now here's the deal. There's already an HTML file in there. Let's take a look real quick. So you might run into the problem of it tells you that there's already an HTML file in there, right? Yours is probably called index.html. When you move it over, it's going to say that there's already one. So you can do a couple of different things. Let's go look at what it actually looks like, though. That's what it looks like. That's your test page, just like the IIS page in Windows. And then you can... I tend to just hate deleting stuff. I mean, this is 10 kilobytes. It's not like it's going to fill up your disk if you just have a few copies of these or something like that. So typically what I'll do is move it to a different name. So move is actually, if you don't move it to a different place, a way to rename something. So index.html.backup. Or original, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. Just name it something similar if you're going to keep it. And just add something to it. Because what the web server is looking for is a file named exactly index.html. So if it doesn't find one, then things probably are not going to work. I don't know why I closed that. Let me test it, though. So it should not work. Yeah, then it just gives me an index of all this stuff. So, I mean, I can go there, and it would work. But I can also go here. But obviously the file is empty, so nothing. So let's do this. Sudo nano testfile.html. Add a little flavor. Yours will already have the code in it. You won't have to do that. Yeah, keep closing Firefox. It's just a reflex, I guess. Oh, I need to rename the file first. So, let's see, sudo mv testfile.html. Now, I'm doing a little bit more than you guys will actually have to do, because my stuff was misnamed in the first place. There we go. Right. I think this is the same exact web page I did for Windows. But anyway, same deal. Y'all's code will already be in there. Your HTML and CSS or HTML and JavaScript will already be in your HTML file, and your CSS will be there. Just make sure things are named correctly. There's a couple of touches that we need to do. So this particular file in this directory, Etsy Apache 2 mods enabled dir.conf. This is the same thing that we did in Windows with the default document, where it was like index.php or iisstart.html. Oh, that's what it was. iisstart.html. That was in the list. We needed to move that down, and we needed to move index.html up. So we can nano that file, Apache 2 mods enabled dir.conf. And if you see directory index, this is telling you I'm going to read this one first, this one second, this one third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And you can add files to this list if you'd like. Index.html is already first, so you don't actually have to do anything here. But just make sure that it's first on the list and take a screenshot. Yay, free points. Then on Mint, navigate to your hostname. If I see your page there, you're golden. That's what I'm looking for. So there's really not a whole lot. The hardest part is quite literally moving your files from one machine to the other. If you got by with VirtualBox guest editions before, Good luck doing that this time. Linux tends to be a little bit harder with the VirtualBox guest editions, but it does still work if you're doing it that way. But it only works if you're using a GUI, and our server is not. So getting it onto Mint, you'll still have to push it, or put it, I guess, is the right verbiage there. You'll still have to put it on the Ubuntu server. Oh, no. Anyhow, I didn't show you the other way. I meant to do that, actually. And it's this. We had done this before. I forgot with what files, but you can do connect to server. Oh. 200.2. SSH. Leo. The password is the key, so no need to do anything special there. There you go. Now, the deal with this, though, if you remember how I did it in the command line, I had to sudo move it to the var www.html directory. That was because Leo, my user on Ubuntu server, does not have privileges to write to there. So if you come in here and you go to, where's var? Oh, there it is. Var www HTML. Like I come in here and try to drag that file in. Oh no, you can't do it. You do not have permission to do that. So you'll have to move it to your home folder first. So if you just click on that, it takes you directly to your home folder. So notice Ubuntu server, home, Leo. I can move the files over here now. And then I'll still have to drop down to the command line to copy it to the right spot. That's still going to be an issue. So you can't really get away with doing this full GUI. You do have to drop down to the command line eventually. Getting the file over, you can do with the GUI. Moving the file to the right spot in Ubuntu server, that is what you'll have to do in the command line. But that's it. That's all you got to do.